And that was the trailer for the new Disney film Artemis Fowl, now streaming on Disney Plus. I'm going to start by saying this, gentlemen. There is absolutely unequivocally a reason that Disney, in lieu of a pandemic, decided to salvage a theatrical release for Mulan, Jungle Cruise, Black Widow. There's no question why they did it. And there really is no question, too, why 2 weeks after pulling Mulan, they said, yeah, Artemis Fowl's going to Disney Plus. We spent $125 million on this movie. We bought the rights in 2001. This damn thing has been in development hell for eons, and it is going to have an ignominious release on Disney Plus. You can watch it for free, and I wouldn't recommend you watch it at all. This is ghastly. This is a ghastly movie, and it might indeed be the worst young adult movie adaptation I've yet to watch. It really might be. That's low praise, I understand. But even thinking of like Vampire Academy and The Host and The Fifth Wave, which I actually really like The Fifth Wave, and I'm pissed none of you guys saw it because now they're not making a sequel and I'm forever disappointed. But anyway, this movie is really trash. And I really feel, as somebody who's a fanboy of a handful of things, I feel for the Artemis Fowl fans, the fans of the Owen Colfer series. I feel for them. I remember how popular those books were. You couldn't walk into an American public library or a public school library in the early aughts without seeing those books. They had cool covers, and they were really popular. It was kind of like secondary Harry Potter. That was one of the most. It was Lemony Snicket, Artemis Fowl, and Harry Potter.
I was
Those
gonna
were
say,
your
Percy Jackson was like the other one that like kind of like drew kids.
That was another one, too. And I feel terrible because I know how devoted these fans are. I know how devoted they are. I know they've patiently waited, and now they're way past the age where they could theoretically go into a theater and watch Artemis Fowl without getting weird looks. Like, I feel terrible for that fan base, that they're not only subjected to a movie that's this bad, but worse, this incomprehensible. It's 88 minutes. It doesn't make much sense. It was clearly lobotomized in post-production. Joe, take it from here on Artemis Fowl.
The Last Airbender, Dragon Ball, Percy Jackson the Lightning Thief, and now Artemis Fowl have joined the ranks of some of the worst adaptations ever made. This movie is utter trash, man. I feel sorry for anybody that stars in this movie because it's like that is something anyone's going to bring up to you if you're ever talking in a conversation. When someone, like when Josh Gad is like, oh, you know, I just had this big breakout movie, someone's going to be like, yeah, but I remember Artemis Fowl where you literally ate dirt and crapped it out in the movie. I'm not even kidding. That's what his character does, but we'll get into like other things about this movie. What a waste of Judi Dench. My God, I feel sorry for this woman. I know she's like coming at the tail end of her career, and like, you know, with a lot of older actors, they just accept anything at the end of their careers. But Jesus Christ, I mean, like you are M in James Bond. Have some dignity, damn it. But at the very end of it all, man, I just gotta say, what the hell happened during the production of this movie? Who the hell like was like just sitting there being like, this is it. This is the final product. We're putting it out there. There's just a moment you just got to be like, guys, let's just scrap it. Like, it's done. It's dead. Give it to another studio. This movie is just a mess, man. I was just sitting there and, like, I've never sat there in a movie. And, like, we just talked about Pete Davidson being high and being a stoner. I never sat during a movie feeling like dialogue was making me high and just confused. Because, like, they just go on talking about exposition of, like, fairies and trolls and all this stuff. And this egg that they have to capture, whatever the hell the device is called. And
it's MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin, yes, truly.
That's what I call it, the MacGuffin.
And it's just, like, it's this big, huge world, and there's all this exposition. I'm just sitting there, like, I have no idea what's going on. And at the very end of it, I never expected this children's movie to just be a movie about, like, having a hostage inside your house and keeping away from, like, the people that are trying to save her. I was just like, this movie is just all over the damn place. I'm going to rant a lot more, but before I do, Dom, please.
The more I learn about how a movie is made, from the screenwriting process to the moment-to-moment directing to the editing bay, just from what I read online and YouTube and whatever, the harder it gets for me to blame actors, truly blame an actor for things and how they're portrayed on film and whatnot. In the particular case of child actors, I subscribe to the notion that it is never their fault, right? With child actors, I believe it's the responsibility of the editors, coaches, directors, casting director, and sometimes even the parents of the children. Having said that, the performance of Artemis Fowl, played by Ferdia Shaw, was unfortunately completely mishandled. They did this kid dirty.
Oh yeah.
The lack of any perceivable emotion from the titular character is unforgivable. This is supposed to be like a badass. This is supposed to be like, what every kid aspires to be. Yo, I wanted to freaking hit this character upside the head for just being a cocky little shit. Like, what the hell, dude? Dude, I mean, like, what?
I'll interrupt you and say this though. You know how? Because I did not know the kid. No, this is his first role.
I know.
And
I
looked him up.
I feel so bad.
And I looked him up. I said, "Who is Ferdia Shaw? He's got to be." I hate to say this, but I thought to myself, I'm like, his first movie is a $125 million Disney movie that's ambitiously trying to kick off a franchise. Okay, but I looked him up. I said, "Who is Ferdia Shaw?" And sure, I said he's got to be related to somebody. Sure enough, he's the grandson of the late, great actor Robert Shaw. That's who he is. He's the grandson of Robert Shaw. And I'm like, and I remember thinking, well, that's how he got the role. I'm like, that's how he got the role in this. And like I said, you hate to rip on child actors. You really do, because they really, in their earliest, they're the product of good coaching. But this kid is not good here. He really isn't. He's unemotive.
Yeah. To be abundantly clear, like, we're not specifically blaming the kid here. It's everyone else failed him. Like, from the very beginning, someone thought that he was ready for something like this. And apparently not, but like, so whoever told him he was ready for this did him dirty. And maybe he was ready for this. Maybe he did like have good scenes in acting, because I actually watched interviews after watching the movie. I looked at interviews just to see who this kid was, and like, yo, you are emoting so much in these interviews, way more than the movie. So maybe it was the directing, it was the editing that just made you look bad, and it really does suck for this kid. Judd Apatow's daughter, Maude Apatow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like she was able to get something together and be good in King of Staten Island. So clearly, it's possible for was she a child actor, or was she more? Did she enter her in her like?
I think she was in Funny People, if I'm not mistaken. I think she had a very small role it's been years since I've seen it, but I'm pretty she's done stuff before Maude. Yeah. I think she's in This Is 40 too.
Okay. Yeah. But just to put intangible, evidence, like the movie mistakes Artemis's cockiness for genius level intelligence, which would work. Like, that's if a kid was that smart, yeah, they would be a cocky little bitch. But like, they actually it would have worked if they had actually showcased the intelligence instead of just having him say adult things and like, oh yeah, that's him doing it. No, it goes to the classic problem of telling instead of showing.
There's
to the point
so
where they
much
have
telling.
They have so much they have telling. Josh Gad, like, narrating throughout the movie in this really shitty accent. Or not accent, but like gruff voice between him and Judi Dench. I couldn't tell who had the worst gruff accent.
They got Josh Gad in his. Or I was gonna say they got Josh Gad in his Hagrid cosplay.
Yeah, no, legit, really. What the frick, dude?
They literally just had them do like their worst Christian Bale impression of him being Batman. Because I mean, like, everybody can do this voice. There's no.
It was bad.
Everybody can do this voice.
It's
I'm Josh Gad narrating Artemis Fowl. And it
was like right at the beginning. Yeah, go ahead.
It's right at the beginning. I mean, yeah, it's right at the beginning. It's throughout the whole film. It's like this, man. It's just annoying, and like, it doesn't bode well when you get cliche dialogue with him and just bad dialogue with him too. Because there's a lot of cliche dialogue throughout this film, like everything, like, like just any like you can see the line coming. Basically, you're just like, I know what's gonna happen. Even cliche moments. There's a scene where. I almost said Judd Apatow. There's a scene where Artemis is holding a jug of milk, a glass of milk, and immediately, the only reason why he's holding that milk, he's gonna drop that, like, out of nowhere, and he drops it, and he breaks it. It's just like, it's everything, man. I mean, even like the way Artemis is introduced, they introduce him by surfing. I'm like, oh no, we're doing this cliche where it's like, this kid is so cool. Look at
He's
him
the
surf.
epitome of coolness.
And
He's
we
the
got him on those
epitome of
stupid-
coolness.
We got him on those stupid hoverboard things that I see people on North Central's campus use to get to class. Like, it's just like, and he does like a cool slow-mo jump, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is. When I saw those two scenes, I'm like, this is it. It's a studio decision-made film. It's a board decision-made movie.
Yeah.
It's not Kenneth Branagh. It's not. I know I butchered his last name. It's not his movie.
Branagh.
Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh.
It's a boardroom decision film. That's all this is. It reeks of that from top to bottom, man. And it's just like, I hate hearing dialogue throughout this movie. There's a moment. It's so stupid. Artemis is like, but fairies can't exist, or do they? And then Josh Gad narrates, yes, they exist. In fact, they live beneath your feet, down in the earth, where the magma is very hot. It's just like, oh my god, shut up. This is so stupid, even for a kid.
There's so much, I'll say this too, there's so much exposition in this movie, and there's so much like cutting back to Josh Gad's character, and who's narrating the whole thing. And that is so indicative of a movie that was cut down dramatically. They're trying to put 2 hours of exposition into a sub 90-minute movie, and it doesn't make any sense. You get no humanization of who Artemis Fowl really is. He keeps saying he's a genius. The movie tells us he's a genius. The movie tells us he cloned a sheep at like age 10. The movie tells us he's a criminal mastermind. He tells us he's a criminal mastermind. He tells us how intelligent he is. There's tell. There's no showing, because there really isn't anything to show. There's just a hodgepodge of scenes and special effects that are all empty. Yeah. The movie is entirely an empty candy wrapper.
I gotta say this too, and I'm right there with you, Steve, when it comes to it being one of the worst adaptations, the worst probably of all time. Because here's the thing. And I know this is a point we wanted to talk on when the trailer was playing and we were talking like in the green room, I guess. With these bad adaptations that I listed before, The Last Airbender, Percy Jackson, even Dragon Ball, they exist in this grand epic world that you at least get to see. In The Last Avatar, The Last Airbender, you go throughout that kingdom like they did in the show. In Percy Jackson, you see the different monsters as they go on this journey. And like how modern day like place like Vegas is used as like a Greek mythology place where it's a bunch of sirens hypnotizing you to gamble and spend your money there for eternity. These movies at least give you the world. Artemis Fowl introduces it, shows you like a little snippet of it underground, but for the rest of the movie, you're just at a house where they're holding a hostage of a pixie, and then just in this bunker underground. You see this with every government movie. Any movie that's like an action film, it's just a DEFCON room where they're talking to like their agents on the ground. It's just that. That's your two locations: a house and the room from every like Jason Bourne movie. Like that. That's it. That's all you. That's all you have in this movie. You don't see the world that they're talking about. And here's the thing: the book, I remember reading it in elementary school. The first book, first of all, like is a simple story. It's none of this complicated stuff. And it's very easy to follow, and they introduce the world very well. You get a feel for the world, and then like the books expand on it. This did a terrible job. It does not follow the book storyline at all. They made their own storyline with this, and it just sucks.
It's so funny because like the movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is Irish and classically like Shakespeare trained. Theater veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the two screenwriters, Connor McPherson, Irish, and Hamish McCall, British. I think they're all like Shakespeare level trained. So like that they're capable of like understanding high art, right? So and like they're capable of doing good work, but it just none of it comes out here because at first I was thinking before I found any of that out. At first I was thinking, wow, this is just really lazy filmmaking because like that I would have to like go to specific like moments and details and break it down, but there's like cuts that are happening too soon, moments that fall with a thud because like delivery was weird or the angle was weird or like you're even doing like trying to do a cliche, but the cliche doesn't even like work. You didn't even get like the cliche right. So I don't know what, like, is this just like rookie level shit? I don't get it. But then Joe pointed out before the show, like a couple minutes where it's like, Hey, was this like I'm noticing scenes in the trailer that did not show up in the final movie, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't watch any of the trailers, so I didn't know about that. But I guess so. I don't know if Joe, like you,
I'm playing it
Yeah,
right now. You'll see
have any of those prepped.
it's Hong Chow. It's the villain in the movie who is seen in like she's heard, like her voice is heard in like a hologram. But that's it. That's all that she's really seen. And the
They
movie
wrote out a
was,
villain.
hmm
What the fuck? What? What?
Yeah.
I never read any of these, so I don't know.
No,
But,
neither
like,
did I. I read about the movie though. Hong Chow, who was in a really good movie you should watch called Driveway this year, I might add. She was also in Downsizing. If you saw that, she was the I can't remember the villain's name because this movie's unbelievably forgettable. But she was the hologram scene where they show the villain and she's like voicing like who's kidnapped the father. Who's kidnapped the father? That brief scene with her, she was supposed to make an appearance. And they completely edited her out. They completely left all that on the cutting room floor. And that's the amazing part of this. And the other thing I'll add off to Joe about what Joe was saying when you compared it to like Dragon Ball, The Last Airbender, Percy Jackson. The other fatal flaw with this movie, too, is it assumes that the franchise is going to succeed. And what I mean by that is it assumes that we are going to be able to get a sequel that will presumably show Artemis Fowl, I don't know, leaving the house, leaving quarantine, going out in the world, doing stuff. Like, it assumes that we are going to get a follow-up installment. And Scott Mendelson of Forbes said that so elegantly. He said, he's like, you see this a lot with these first adaptation. They spend so much time trying to lay down the origin story, and it's clunky, it's exposition heavy, it's not interesting, then it doesn't do well. And then the movie that you wanted to see, that fans wanted to watch, never gets made because of that. They expect the audience to turn up the first time and then show up the second time, assuming they're even going to get a sequel. The best way I could say it is this is Artemis Fowl is an origin story from a character we'll never see again on screen. We'll never see it another Artemis Fowl movie. It's what it is.
It's always so like hilarious, but also really sad and pathetic to see a film try to set up a franchise, like really, as you were saying, really concertedly set up a franchise at its own expense, like a Mummy level kind of thing, and with Tom Cruise and like, damn that.
Hey, that bomb! Then we got the Invisible Man. I'll take that. True. I mean, I'll take that. But it's true though. You're watching this movie because it's so clear it's trying to set up like groundwork for a franchise. But it's especially in this current state because who knows what the theatrical cut would have looked like. But it's so botched and it's so poorly edited to the point, like I said before, this film was truthfully lobotomized.
Yeah. It's what the hell happened, man? I want to see a freaking documentary on this.
Yeah. This is the kind of movie that like warrants like a food fight level expose of what the hell actually went wrong with this thing. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's so bad. I'll tell you, this movie is so bad. And now I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic. It's so bad. I'd even pay for it. I want my money back. I want this month of Disney Plus for free. This was wretched, truly wretched. I had half a mind to go and wanted to be the defender of this thing. And it was bad. I'm giving it, there's not much more to say for me, at least. I give it 1 star, 1 out of 4 stars. This is, I'm trying to think of the other crap that's come out this year. Scoob. I'm gonna say Scoob is not good. I'm gonna go as far as this is probably so far the worst film of 2020.
Yeah.
Like a Boss is close. But Artemis Fowl is the worst movie of 2020. Star ratings for you guys?
Dom, you can go.
I just got to say that I say it's worse than I was going to say it's worse than Scoob because it's Disney, the big studio behind it, but freaking Scoob is Warner Brothers, which has, it's millions. So I don't know, man.
Both of them were trying to start a franchise or a universe.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're not trying. It's making me sad, man. It's making me sad. But yeah. It's offensively, like insultingly, just a complete mess, and it failed everyone. Its investors, It's fans who I do feel bad for, and most importantly, it failed the child actors here, who and in the case of Artemis Fowl himself, he's not. His career is off to the rockiest possible start, because this ain't some indie movie that will go away. This is an epic disaster. This is a huge, like big budget film that was released on streaming service during a global pandemic. So everyone's watching this, and I truly feel, as I lay out the immensity of the failings, but like I do feel bad for him, and I hope nepotism be damned, but like I really hope he manages to find some work out of this, because he don't deserve this, man.
Ferdy Shaw.
Yeah, I give it, I give it like I'm gonna give it like 7 years during the elvish periods, but this was after when the dwarves waged war on the underworld, but actually this was all
this
like
movie or like
parallel.
a better one?
Yeah, like parallel during like when the wizard stole the great Oculus egg from the Oculus Rift. No, dude, 1 star out of 4, man. And that might be generous, because it's freaking offensive. Yeah.
Joe, finish this off with
Man,
Artemis Fowl.
Like, yeah, I do agree with Dom saying I feel bad for this kid. I really do. This is the kind of movie that puts you on a blacklist to other studios, because they'll think you're just box office poison because of what happened here. Even though this movie won't have a box office report at all, this is something I could totally see just Disney just kicking him to the curb. I hope this kid gets picked up by Netflix, and I hope, because Netflix, to me, I mean, they got a ton of child actors that do great in either their shows or movies, and hopefully they'll coach him better and take him under his wing and at least give him a platform to show what this kid could possibly have. That being said, though, I don't really blame anybody in this movie. I blame Disney at the end of the day, man. You guys have had so many bombs on your hands. So many movies that end up like this. You should know what it looks like by now. Not last year, 2 years ago, Steve and I reviewed another book adaptation that was pretty bad. Not as bad as this, but bad. A Wrinkle in Time. And, I look at that, and, I look at the other movies that Disney has adapted for young adult novels, and I'm just like, man, you guys should know by now, when it's, time just to scrap the production of something, just be like, you know what, it never happened, we're just gonna sell the license and probably make more money with that than actually making a movie with it. This movie is just awful. It really is. I know you guys are giving it 1 star, and this might be harsh, especially because, it's a children's film, but damn it should be better than this. For me, this is a 1/2 star. I hated watching this.
1/2 star.
Yeah, I hated watching this.
Wow.
I this is by far, I don't think anything will top it the rest of this year, especially since a lot of stuff got delayed.
Hope not.
I hope not either. I hope I don't have to waste my time. Thank God it was an hour and a half, because if this movie was 2 hours or 2.5 hours with any of the other original scenes that were supposed to be in it, I probably would have just been like, you know what, screw it. I'm getting COVID. I'm going outside. I'm going to go, kill myself. This is by far another, tragedy of 2020. It's Artemis Fowl.
It's 88 minutes. It's already, torturously long at that.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was going to be a doozy, and Lord knows it was. At least we had one decent movie to talk about today.